Welcome to Sip with Summers, the podcast where we talk about sex, intimacy, and pleasure. Because someone has to, and let's be honest, it may as well be me. I'm your host, Jennifer Marie Summers, board certified sexologist, certified sex coach, menopause coach in training, and your favorite inappropriate friend with a microphone. Around here, we cover everything from why is my libido ghosting me to is it normal to fantasize about pizza during sex? Spoiler alert, yes. So grab a drink and let's get into the good stuff because pleasure is your birthright and awkward is my love language. Let's spill, sip, and say the things most people whisper. Welcome to the show.
Today is going to be a little steamier than usual because my boyfriend, Wilbur Thackeray, is my special guest on the show. Will is an educator, community builder, and a lifelong champion of relationship dynamics. We're talking all things sexy spaces, from clubs to dungeons to tropical resorts like Hedonism too, and how to navigate them as a couple. Will, welcome to the show. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you, Jennifer. It's good to be here.
How do you define sexy travel, and how is that different than sex tourism?
Sex tourism is a term that people generally would want to shy away from. That's people going to exotic destinations to potentially take advantage of other people who live there in the sex trade. Sexy travel is quite a different thing. That's when people go on a vacation with the intention of having a sexy good time with their partner and perhaps with other people that they meet at the location. But it's an opportunity to go outside the box when planning a vacation, possibly in a way that one has done before and possibly in a whole new way.
Sounds very intriguing. So tell me, you've been to sexy trips before. What was your first trip? What was the experience like for you?
The first trip for me, I was on a vacation in Jamaica at a very nice resort that was a very boring resort. And eventually my date and I just weren't connecting with anybody. We talked to the hotel management and they said, here's what you need. You need day passes to Hedonism too. We quickly checked out what that was and found out it has a reputation and did even back then in the early 2000s as being one of the wildest places on earth. And it has only improved since that time and been under new management for the past several years. That's really helped turn it around. And it's a place where people can go to have all the benefits of a regular vacation, great food, entertainment, and also it's a place where you can get naked and sexy and have some fun in that direction too. It's not for everybody, but there's a reason it has the highest return of any resort in the Caribbean. It's special.
It is special. I had a wonderful time with you there. It was really fun. So you've been on a lot of these trips. Like, how many times have you been to Hedonism before, would you say?
Probably between a dozen and 20.
Okay. I've been once. What was your most transformative moment or experience on those trips?
I think the real transformative thing for me was going in with a clear understanding of what my partner and I would or would not do, and then having a new opportunity come along, having the conversation we needed to say, do we want to jump on this opportunity? And then going with it, being in a place where you were free to do that and meeting with people who wanted to share in their idea of fun.
For those people who maybe don't want to fly all the way to Jamaica to go to Hedonism too, how can they find reputable, safe, sexy spaces more locally to them?
Most cities have a place. In Baltimore, it's called Taboo. Up in Philadelphia, there's a place called the Pleasure Garden. And there are places all around the country. Down in Florida, a place called Trapeze comes to mind. Not every city has one, but many cities do. We're fortunate that we can go online and read reviews. And if you have people who are connections who may have been that you feel comfortable asking about it, feel free to ask. It's important to know what you can to find out if it's the right place for you, if it's a place where you're going to be comfortable, have a good time, and that it offers the amenities you're looking for at a price you consider reasonable.
Are there any misconceptions you think people might have about these spaces?
Sure. I think the biggest misconception, maybe people feeling that they'd be pressured to do things beyond their comfort level. And I'm not saying there aren't places out there somewhere that would pressure people or people would feel pressured, but most of the clubs, the way they function is they want people to come have a good time and come back. And that only happens if people feel safe and respected and that there are people looking out for them, that the staff are looking out for them, that fellow guests are looking out for them. And that's one of the things where people, I think, are surprised because they come in and think that it's going to be a free for all. People ask often, what if I just want to go with my partner and observe the place? I don't want to get sucked into some kind of orgy. Plenty of people are there doing just that. It's the same as saying, what if I wanted to go to a bar, but only drink soda? Not a problem. Lots of people at the bar not having an alcoholic drink, and no one's going to come up to you and say, you have to have this beer.
That's a great point. I really like how you put that. Thank you. So, we've been to some of these experiences together and it's been super fun. But for couples who have never done this before, how would you bring that up to your partner?
That's going to be different for every pair or more than pair of people, what a partner is or isn't comfortable with. And hopefully you have an idea whether your partner would or wouldn't be into it. And if you think it's something that they'd be interested in, hopefully you'll float it as a concept and they'll say, wow, what a great idea. Now, of course, it's possible you'll float it as a concept and they might say, hell no. They also might change their view of you. They might feel, oh my gosh, my partner wants to do this thing that I'm really uncomfortable with. And you got to be prepared for that and prepared for having done your research, know what it is, and be able to explain why you want to go. And then you also have to be willing to be prepared for it to be a no.
Mm-hmm.
You may get the gift of a no when you bring it up. And then you have your choice of how you'll proceed, but you may just be looking to do something that your partner isn't into. And there's some cases I'm sure where people have considered, well, am I with the right partner then? And others where they've decided, let's give it a break, or then perhaps ask the partner in a good way, if this doesn't ring your bell, what would? Is there something we can do part way?
What about boundaries and agreements? How do you set those up? What do those look like?
Some people probably don't worry about doing them at all, but it's a great idea to talk to your partner in advance and think about what you're looking to do. And what if an opportunity comes along that you want to be prepared? What if an attractive couple comes up to us and says, would you like to get a private room together? It's good to know in advance whether you would say yes, no, or perhaps the best answer, let's do a timeout and check in with each other before we move into that.
Let's say we're in a situation on the spot. People are like, hey, you want to do this? I'm not somebody who just is like, yeah or no. I like the stepping back, having a little break to talk about it.
As your shirt says, consent is sexy, and consent can also be complicated because when there's that moment of pressure, an attractive couple has come up to you and said, we really like you, you want to get it on. That could feel like some pressure because if you want to come up with an answer quickly, maybe you'd say yes quickly, maybe you'd say no quickly. The important thing to think is, how do you make sure that you give yourself the time to come up with an answer that you're going to be comfortable with after? Also understand, you can negotiate with the other person or people that have approached you. If they said you want to get a room together, you can, just like with anyone else inviting you to do anything, you can take that step back and say, we'd be interested in that, but here's how we play. This is our limit. We'd be interested in hanging out. Perhaps your answers, we'd be fine with that, but we want to play separately. Or it could be, yeah, we're a go for anything. We're up for whatever you're up for. But knowing that between the two of you before you go in can certainly avoid some awkwardness.
Now, let's say a couple goes in and one partner wants to play while the other partner wants to step back and observe. What do you do in that case?
Again, there you're negotiating and finding out, and perhaps everybody involved is absolutely fine with that. And perhaps with some people who say, we're just not into that. That isn't our thing. We don't want to have someone just observing. We want everyone participating. And I say, hey, well, thanks. Thank God we checked it out. It's not going to work. The main thing, one thing that I think is so key is to give some authority to the person who is the more reluctant or the newer person in the relationship. If a person is going to the club for the first time with someone who's been many times, let that person be the lead on what you do and don't do. If you move at the pace of the person who's newer to it, there's a lot less risk of their feeling pushed to go further than they want to go.
I really appreciated when we went to Hedonism too, that you said to me, like, you're new, you call the shots, whatever you want to do. And I felt so comfortable to make decisions about what felt good for me. And no pressure at all, which is really important. And I think about if somebody going, maybe they go with past partner, current partner, whoever, and maybe they don't have a great experience. Maybe they're listening right now and they're thinking, wow, like I wish that one time I went to that sexy place that my partner had heard this podcast episode
Sure.
before,
Yeah.
So let's say somebody has not a great experience. What could they do differently
Yeah.
perhaps next time?
Yeah. And you know what? Let's go back to that bar analogy. You might go to a bar, a dance club, any kind of event, and you might not have a great experience. You might go to a museum and not have a great experience. Does it mean you should never go back? Maybe it just isn't your thing at all. Or maybe it's a matter of thinking, why didn't I have that good experience? What would make it a better experience for me? What do I not want to repeat? What might I be open to? And, I think sometimes though people have had such a negative experience, they're going to just rule something out in the sex connecting sphere as much as in any other. And that's one of the things to really respect and listen and find out, why your partner might be saying, this is a strong no for me, and respect that. And again, try to figure out if there's some other thing that might fit the bill better.
Now, we talked about agreements and boundaries and, what to do, but like what happens when in the middle of it, you suddenly are like, I don't know, like maybe I don't want to be doing this.
Absolutely. Consent can be revoked here as in anything. The great thing is to have an established situation with your partner potentially beforehand for how you do a timeout. Maybe something is just taking a turn, or the people who seemed really friendly have suddenly gotten aggressive in a way you don't like, or you just are starting to feel a little queasy. To be able to politely extricate yourself as with anything else, but to be very strong in your self-determination. If it doesn't feel right to you, much better to stop it then than to continue even though you're uncomfortable. Again, just try to do it in a way that's respectful of everybody's feelings. Of course, it's hard if other people that you're with are having a good time and you're the one saying this is going to wind down now, but it's still the right thing to do rather than having regret later.
For sure. Also what's coming up for me is having safe words,
Yeah.
talking about that before. And of course, we know like green, yellow, red,
Yep.
and it could also be like pineapple or spoon or some random word. And then, of course, having a hand signal if your mouth is occupied in some sort of way.
Absolutely. Yeah. And just again, the more planning and preparation you do, my favorite motto on it is, if you have an umbrella, it won't rain. If you forget the umbrella, it will. That's the umbrella principle. The better prepared you are, the more you're prepared for something going wrong. In a weird way, the less likely it is. But if it does, you'll be ready.
Definitely. Now, on the flip side, how do you avoid a faux pas in a sexy space?
Sure. The best thing is to read up online. There's often rules or regulations or expectations that a club or resort will post online telling you how they expect you to behave. And one thing that's almost universally true is if people are engaged in something, if you see people who are doing what would be called a scene, two people who are being sexually active or perhaps doing some kink things, such as a spanking scene or a flogging scene, and you come upon that, if they're doing it in a public place, it's pretty safe to assume they're okay with being watched. But it's also safe to assume that they do not want their scene interrupted. So it would not be appropriate to walk up and start talking to somebody when they're already engaged in something. It wouldn't be okay to go up even and offer them a drink. If someone reached out from a scene and talked to you, that's different, but pretty much leave people on their own if they're already engaged in something. Now, of course, it's different. If they're staying at the bar getting a drink, that's a great time to start a chat. If you see someone just standing on the floor or on the dance floor with a really cute outfit, go ahead and compliment it. If you see someone with a t-shirt with a slogan, it might be a chance to start a conversation. But again, if people are already engaged, you want to be respectful of that. There's a kind of a style thing that happens at some sex clubs and swinger clubs. Some rooms are closed off. You just don't interfere. Others have a window, which encourage voyeurism and exhibitionism. And then some places will have a thing where if a door is cracked open a little bit, it means it's cool to watch. If the door is wide open, they're inviting you to come in and join. However, don't assume that the open door means they're inviting you to come in to join. Maybe it's their first time there and they just didn't know the door closed. So always better to check in a little extra, err on the side of caution. And again, also ask people, what are your limitations? What do you do? Some people will say, for instance, we only do same room, meaning we don't touch other people. Some might say we do soft swap, meaning there might be some kissing, there might be some touching, but we're not going to actually be having sex with each other's partners. And then there's the ones who are full swap, which means if they communicate that, they've found two other people who are interested in actually going all the way and having sex with people that they've just met. It doesn't mean they want to have sex with those particular people. It doesn't mean open consent to everyone, but it means they at least are open to talking about that. So if you know what you are and you're able to share it freely and hear what the other people are, and determine where you may or may not be flexible. You can avoid, again, some heartache or worse.
Now, you brought up swapping. So, how does sexy travel intersect with non traditional relationships?
I think the intersection is once people start experimenting, they learn that there's other things out there. And so it's very common. Somebody might hear from friends about a club like Taboo near Baltimore. They go a few times, they have fun. They see an advertisement for Hedonism 2 or Desire Resort or Temptation, and they start thinking, I'm going to look this up online. I want to learn about this. Maybe they meet another couple who've gone. Or maybe they hear about one of the cruises, the Bliss Cruise or the Temptation Cruise. And they're like, wow, we could actually build a whole vacation, not just a weekend night out, but a whole vacation around this. And there too, it's going to come down to the people in the couple saying, are we both into this? Is this how we want to spend our vacation? Is this how we want to spend our money? Is this exciting or intimidating? Figuring that out. But it's a really common thing to bounce from having fun at a club to a resort, or frankly, vice versa. Some people go to the resort. It's their first time diving into something, trying something new. They have so much fun that then they come home and they're like, are there clubs around here? Are there house parties? Are there groups that do events where we can have that kind of fun without having to go all the way to the Caribbean?
What about monogamous couples?
Yeah. I know lots of monogamous couples who go to hedonism too and who go to other places. Some of them just love the energy. And I've been in that situation too, being in a monogamous couple where we just love the energy and it's really fun to be around people who are being sexy and having fun. And it's sort of like, one could say it's like having live pornography next to you, but the beautiful part of it is, it's fun. Those people are there not because they're being paid to be in a movie. Not there's anything wrong with that. Just saying that they're people that their story. They're there for the same reason you are. They're on a vacation. They're at an event. There are some monogamous couples, people who start monogamous and later decide they want to try to be more open. And then there's people who go through phases of being open and then go back to being monogamous. Kind of like that person at the bar who's not having an alcoholic drink. Other people understand that and respect it. You might be approached, say you're a monogamous couple and you're on vacation in Jamaica. Another couple might come up to you in the pool, or a solo person might come to you in the pool and say, hey, so how long have you been in the lifestyle? Meaning, are you a swinger effectively? And your answer might be that you are in the lifestyle. It also might be, actually, I'm not. We're just coming here. And almost all the time, can't speak for other people, but most of the time someone will get the message and say, hey, respect to you for that, and move on. It's very rare that they're going to be persistent because there's lots of people who are there who choose to be monogamous. And there's plenty of other people they can find who are looking to fool around.
What are your top 3 do's for sexy travel?
So the top 3 do's, and I did make a note of this, so I realized you might ask something like that.
Love it.
One of the ones I've touched on already is communicating in advance, making sure that you are on the same page with the people that you're going with. And again, it might not be partners, it might be friends you go to a club with. It's not that you have to be partnered to go to one of these places. Another big do for me, it's a personal thing, but I recommend is show up early your first time. Get there before other people are there. Take a tour of the club if they're offering it. Have a chance to see the place, get comfortable. And when you're there early, other people coming in see you and think you're already set, you're already settled in. That can be a real nice advantage over showing up when the party's already in full rage and you have to figure out what's going on. And the third thing I would have is with your friend, partner, whoever you're with, have a timeout plan. As we were talking about, if there comes that moment where something just isn't feeling right, whether it's give a green, yellow, red, or a code word, or just something so that you know that if that were to happen to you, you'd have your out. As to the things I would say that are don'ts that I would recommend not doing, I would say best thing when diving into anything new is go in without expectations. Don't think, oh, I'm going to this club. We're going to get lucky. We're going to hook up tonight. You might not. And if you just go in your first time and you just observe, that's not a bad night. Go in without expectations.
Preach.
But try not to make assumptions about a place or about other attendees. Get to know it, be open-minded, and see what it is and see if you like it. And then the other thing I would advise people is try not to be too self-conscious or anxious. It's easy to go in and wonder about, will I be the same age as other people there? Will I have the same body type as other people there? Will people there all be popular kids in school and I'm more of a nerd, or vice versa? The fact is most people there, they're there to have fun too. They're there with their friends and partners. They're not spending a lot of time judging you or worrying about you, if any at all. And more likely they're just happy you're there because you're also there to have a good time. You can be confident that you belong as much as anybody else that's there.
That's a beautiful answer. Thank you. So I say we take a quick wine break. We've been sipping on this Pearmond late harvest Tannat, Pearmond in Virginia. Cheers.
Right.
Oh, spilling on myself.
Like sweet wine.
Very sweet, like us. Okay, but we do need to open another bottle. I'm going to ask him a personal question, so we need wine for this.
When we come back and Carol Coffins ever made, it'll be Nicolas Cage.
That is not Nicolas Cage. That's
What?
Jeff Goldblum
Really?
from Jurassic
All this
Park.
time I thought it was Nicolas Cage.
No, that's
Oh.
Jeff Goldblum. Show the
You're
camera.
right. You're
Look,
right.
y'all. Dr. What was his name in Jurassic Park? Dr. Ian.
Dr. Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
You made him disappear. Wow.
that's his giant penis. Okay, now we're being inappropriate.
Yeah, I'm offended.
Okay. Well, now I'm sipping on some. This is Sip with Summers. Potomac Point Chardonnay. Delicious. Virginia is for lovers and for wine.
Beautiful vineyard, too.
So I have been to less sexy spaces than you. And I want to share with people that are perhaps newer to it that it felt so liberating at Hedonism. When I went there, I felt like, I don't know what I want out of this. I'm here to observe. And I loved how you were so giving with your permission about you call the shots, whatever you want to do is cool. If nothing happens, we're still going to have a great time. And I really appreciated that. One of my favorite parts was sitting on the beach, the prude side where you didn't have to be naked, and really just getting a feel for the whole place before I dove in and explored more. But all of that to say, I'm curious, since we have been on some of these trips together, what is your favorite, sexiest moment of our travel?
Yeah, I mean, to me, there's so many different sexy moments, but it's always delicious to see somebody becoming comfortable in a way they didn't know they would. And that can mean something as simple as the first moment where they say, I've had fun hanging out on the side of the resort where I can keep my bathing suit on. Thanks for letting me do that. Now I want to go to the nude side. And you go over to the nude side, and I'm sure it's this way at other resorts, but also at Hedonism too. There's a little sign that says, beyond this point, you must be nude. And they'll come after you. Security will come after you, whether you're a man or a woman. If you have if you're wearing a bathing suit or underwear or anything, they'll say, if you're going to be here, you have to take it off. So you've made a conscious decision when you go there that you're going to play along, and you should never do it until you feel comfortable. But it's a beautiful moment when you get to that point where you're like, hey, this thing that seemed a little intimidating, it's not that intimidating right now. And you get out there and you find that there's people there who are just a little bit ahead of you and welcome you. And it's really, I remember the first time I was there just feeling very comfortable and at home and surrounded by other people on the same trip.
It was so fun. And it wasn't creepy. I didn't feel like anybody was inappropriate with me. It was just a good, fun, naked party.
And there's never, unfortunately, can be a guarantee that
Sure.
there won't be somebody who got in. There's not all places have great vetting processes, and some people may be more or less experienced, and somebody could be intoxicated. You can't guarantee that somebody won't do something inappropriate. What you can expect is that a well-run place and a place with a good reputation, if somebody is misbehaving and you tell them stop and they don't immediately stop, that's why there's security. That's why there's management. And they will take that person out very quickly because you're having a good time is a lot more important to them. That's really where their reputation lies.
Yeah. Somebody has a good time, they tell 5 people. A bad time, they tell everybody.
Well put.
Yeah. So I'm just wondering, what's one thing that I've done on the trip that instantly has turned you on? Give our listeners some ideas.
For me, it's a matter of when you find that the person you're with is enthusiastic and perhaps puts on an outfit they brought for a theme night and is excited to get out there and be part of the event. That's the great thing. I think it's participation is a huge part of having fun. at a place like these. And so if your partner gets from that stage of, I don't know about this, I'm thinking about this, I'm curious about this, to I'm all in. I'm excited for this. I brought this outfit for this. I'm excited to wear it. I'm excited to show it off and be part of this event. And that's just always a real exciting moment.
I mean, for me, as someone who identifies as a plus size woman, it made me feel super confident to wear sexy lingerie in a space with other sexy people. And also, I liked that it wasn't all of these like super toned 21-year-old beach bodies. Like, no offense to any of you out there, but for those of us real women bodies,
Sure.
I found it so empowering. And that wasn't something I really expected to experience.
And I hear that a lot on the forums. And by the way, if you want to learn about these places, most of them have online forums, Facebook
Mhm.
pages, et cetera. And you'll see that a lot when somebody will reach out frequently and say, this is something about me. Will I fit in? Will I belong? And 20 people will jump in to say, you will. If you're enthusiastic and you come with a good attitude and you want to be there, we want to have you there. In person, you see it too. And there are contests every night where people jump up on the stage, and it's a Hedo again, when people jump on the stage wearing outfits and competing or doing talent show things. And one of the ones I loved was one of the first times I was there. And there were some people who jumped up who were toned models, and there were people who jumped up who were regular guests. And there's one woman who jumped up who was probably about 75, looked like a grandmother, and she got up there and she shook it like nobody else. And then she won, and the place went wild cheering for her. And it was just proof that, there's not a limit on how you are or appear if you're there to have fun and be part of the event.
So we're in the DC area, which is great because we have a lot of resources like the Crucible, which is a dungeon, Taboo, which is the sex club where there's rooms and a dance floor and lots of fun. You mentioned Philadelphia as well. But for people that maybe aren't local to the DC area, where could they seek out these places?
Again, it's if you have connections, people in town who you can ask, that's great. If not, just a simple search on the internet, looking for things like adult nightclub, swinger club, and just because it has one name doesn't mean that everybody there is doing that. It's pretty much those things. You want to be alert that some places may actually be strip clubs where you're there as an audience member. And if you're looking for a place where you're more a participant, that's the thing, is just really reading their website and seeing what they offer.
Mhm.
And then, of course, reading reviews to see if it's a well-run place and if people recommend it.
I also think FetLife has an events calendar. Is that
Sure.
right?
They do. And you'll find a lot of private events there too. Everything ranging from somebody who might be having an apartment party at our hotel room party to some bigger organized events. One in our region is called Fantasy House Productions.
Mm.
They put on parties every month in places, sometimes private homes, sometimes bigger spaces. There's a lot of opportunities out there. And certainly, yeah, FetLife is one place to poke around and see what's going on in events.
What's your ultimate sexy trip on your bucket list?
I feel like I've been very lucky because I've already experienced what I consider some of the best places. Do think one thing for somebody to think about if they're choosing one, and I don't know that I have a favorite, but is to go on one of the cruises versus going to a resort. The thing that's really interesting about that is when you go to the resort, you're in a place, you're going to spend your 5 or 7 days there, and there's going to be a lot of turnover. You're going to be stable and in one place and you know that place well, but some people will be arriving the day you arrive, others will leave halfway through.
Right.
It can be real challenging getting to know people because you just need to know them and they're out of there. The cruises are interesting because you have thousands of people locked onto a boat for a week or so. And so, if you meet somebody at boarding, they're going to be with you the whole week. For better or worse, that's a neat thing. It also comes down to some people love cruises. If you love a cruise, an adult cruise can be a real treat. Other people, it's really just not their thing. But one thing I personally learned on a cruise is I never thought of myself as somebody who had a schoolgirl fetish. Schoolgirl outfits wasn't my thing. Turns out that my fetish is 2,000 people dressed up as sexy schoolgirls on a boat at the same time. Now that is a crazy thing to see. So it's an interesting adventure. But again, it's figuring out what adventure you and whoever you're traveling with want to have and making sure that you're going for something that, if you're making that commitment, you're going to spend a week together doing something, that you're doing something you really like.
What's your advice for couples that are looking to explore?
my general advice to people is if you're looking to explore, there's a reason you're looking because you're curious and you can have some great experiences. And they may bring you closer together as a couple. They may give you things as an individual that make you feel more fulfilled in life. So I think it's great that things are out there and you can explore. It's just that matter of if you are, and many of the things you can do these alone, do them solo sometimes. Some places allow solo, some don't, but there are opportunities for people solo or with friends. But if you're in a couple and you're looking into it, just that thing of figuring out where your guidelines are, your openness, your boundaries, so that the two of you are on the same page, and then you go exploring together, and it can make or break you. Don't go into it naively thinking that this will automatically improve our life. If a therapist told you this is what you need to do, still go in with caution. It could turn out that it's something that is not good for you. It is conflict causing. Be alert to that. Don't go in, with rose colored glasses. But if you're both at least a bit intrigued, odds are pretty good that you might have a good experience.
So before we wrap this up, is there anything else that we didn't cover that you want to talk about?
We're really lucky to be living in the 21st century where we do have the opportunity to go online, research things that I don't know how people first found out about this stuff back in the 60s, the 70s. Hedonism too has been around since 1976. And
Wow.
back then it was just all word of mouth, I guess, but it's come such a long way. So it's great that you can learn about things and that you can research and learn about how to interact, that there's books like The Ethical Slut out there to learn some of the techniques and tricks of being in an open or ethically non-monogamous relationship, being able to do that research and really make a conscious decision of whether you are prepared to go in this direction, explore this, or whether it might just not be the right thing for you.
Thank you so much for coming on the show today, Will.
Totally a pleasure, Jennifer.
So whether you're booking your first sexy getaway or just curious about what happens beyond the club doors, I hope this gave you the confidence and the curiosity to explore. Big thanks to Will for being one of my favorite travel partners and sharing his insights. Share this episode with your partner and start your own "What if we did this" conversation. Subscribe to Sip with Summers for more juicy, practical talk about sex, intimacy, and pleasure.